Okay, welcome everyone to today's only front end slash, well, actually now that we have Jason with panels, then we probably have two. But this will be more on design, front end, how your site looks. And it's also going to be more of an intro, and it's going to be more of I'm used to using. It's sort of a case study of I often have used, Zen and Omega, and the recommended themes, the recommended ways that everyone says. And I recently did a couple sites trying to use the new way, trying to use an experimental way, and I'm going to share my take on those a little bit later on. But let's get going. Welcome to Aurora. And probably, there we go. Whoops, not that one. You should know me as Biolithic Around, GitHub, Twitter, you name it. That's where you can find me. And just to clear things up, is anyone here for Headless Drupal? Well, it kind of already exists with DrupalCamp. There's a project called DrupalCamp, which is, you make native apps, and then it uses Drupal as a backend using HTML, CSS, etc. So if anyone wants radical implementations on the front end, you should look up DrupalCamp. I'm not going to be talking about that. Someone might be here for Footless Drupal. Anyone? Somehow that's a thing, but that kind of already exists with Backdrop CMS, which is already version 1.0 and has, if anyone is interested, it's a fork of Drupal, and basically it's Drupal 7 with views and panels already in core and a lot of things simplified. So it's more like if Drupal was built by WordPress, it would look like Backdrop. Whereas Drupal 8, if that's not following like the simple way, that's more like getting bigger and bigger for people like Twitter and BC, state governments, etc., to use Drupal for wider things. All right. Last time I was here, I spoke on e-commerce modules that I developed. If anyone is interested in how that progressed, was anyone here the last time I spoke at DrupalCamp FE? Okay. We won't go through that then because no one needs an update. But I guess if you're interested on Drupal.org, it's basically small commerce. Like you have Drupal commerce, which is big, 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 big. Like the bigger we can build it, the bigger it will be. But mine are more just like, I need a simple cart that processes credit cards for a subscription or a book or something. You don't need shipping, you don't need this, you don't need that. It's only one module, you install it, you click the content type that you want to sell or the download file that you want to sell, and it uses either Braintree or Stripe to process credit cards, and that's all it is. Is anyone here that has Drupal 5/6 sites that they want, like, how do I theme it for Drupal 8? I'm not going to be talking about that today. What I'm going to be talking about today is if you want a responsive or mobile site and you want to have a faster process for doing that, Pardon me. And also, if you want things that will make your process faster, such as minifying your files, live reloading, so you don't have to save and then reload the page, or maybe upload or something, just like happening real time. That's what we'll be talking about. Most importantly, faster mobile page speeds, which is very important. And if you're wondering, lots of people say, we need to optimize the back end, SQL queries and all that kind of stuff. There have been many studies on, the fact that the actual how to make your pages or your website load faster on phones, etc., is to optimize the theme layer. The CSS, the JavaScript, your theme will accelerate your website a lot faster than any sort of back-end tricks. We'll install APC, we'll install Varnish. Those are good, but actually if you just take the time to work out your theme, you'll get a faster site. And why do we want faster loading times? More touchdowns, probably more dollars, more client engagements, because people have short attention spans at short amount of time, and they want stuff to happen right now. They want to buy the product. They want to look it up online quick. So now we'll go through some other ways that you traditionally made your site design for mobile sites or quickly, and then we'll go through the Aurora way. Traditionally, to make small design changes, you might add CSS or jQuery, to hide something, to show something. You just say, on the home page, on mobile, I don't want to show this big block of content. I only want the Buy Now button. You might add CSS and just do it that way. Another way is to actually get into the no template files and change things. That would be more the PHP way. Another thing is to use the template PHP file to write functions to override things. And another one is to use the theme key module, which you say, on this page, I want this theme, and on this other page, I want a different theme. Or on the home page, I want this, and on the services side, I want this. Then that would be another one. I don't recommend that, though. But that's a way to do it through the graphical user interface, so you don't have to do any code. What about bigger layout changes? Some ways you can actually do the, instead of like a small change here and a small change there, traditionally you might use the display suite module. What that does is you have all your fields. Let's say you have a node and it has 5 fields. Instead of it just printing out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, using the display suite, you can do, the graphical interface of just drag and drop, like, on a teaser, drag the title down to the bottom of the page, and on the full page, drag the title to the top. So it's a drag and drop for maybe smaller changes. Another way is make a lot of blocks and use the context module. What the context module does, if you've used it, is it just has like certain paths, like if the user is logged in show these blocks, and if the user is not logged in, don't show these blocks. Another one that I more recommend, you can go see Jason's talk on this, would be the panels module. I won't get into that too much because I know Jason will be speaking on that. If you're new to Drupal, you know, it goes easiest to maybe more difficult. If you just want to make some small, easy changes, use the display. For more heavy-duty lifting of, you know, styling and displaying different sections of your site differently, use the panels module. That works with context to show versions of things like maybe here's an example. For let's say we have a DrupalCamp site, and you have several tiers of people. Let's say you could be a speaker, an attender, VIP guest, like a sponsor. You have different levels of people, and those people see different levels of the same blocks. Like if you're a VIP person, in the sidebar you see XYZ, and if you're only an attender, then you just see X. Or so you can click. It's a way, you know, to click around to say these people can see this, these people can see this, or, you know, think about the different levels of either people or whoever that you want to show different parts of the site to different people. Maybe, you know, language might play into that, or, you know, things of that nature. Does anyone here use SAS? All right. For those who are not aware, you know, you have regular CSS, which are, you know, ways to design your site, and then, or, you know, instructions to say the header will be a red color, the header 3, you know, lower level header might be blue, etc. And, you know, in the past we had big, long, monolithic files that was like, you know, style.css. All your styles are in this one page. And then we said, yay, but it's not real fun to work on in teams. So we have SAS as a pre-compiler to, you have different partials, you know, let's say header, main content, footer, layout, you know, and then you could put in there variables to say, you know, the actual shade of blue is this, but we're going to call it the variable blue. So anyone that uses it all around the partials, just put blue and it'll know. And then at runtime, it compiles all the different partials into one minified version. Does anyone here use Compass through Ruby to, yeah, so that's a good one. That usually happens on a Mac, but you can use command line Ruby commands to compile it that way. You can also use Node.js, which may be a more cross-platform, and that would be through Grunt. Another one that's a competitor to Grunt would be Gulp. And then these three are command line only, so, but you can use you know, a point-and-click solution called CodeKit. There may be more. That's one that I've used. so that, you say, I don't like the command line, I don't like typing commands in to do my Drupal. There are graphical ways to do that. Let's go through why you might want a responsive design. One way maybe you just want a fluid design, like you just say, on the desktop we have sidebar A, B, C, and then when you look at it on the phone, all the sidebars just come underneath the main content. It's just a fluid design. That's one way. Another reason might be you just want completely different designs for different devices. You say, on a phone, I want it to be this radical design, and on a desktop, I want it to be this other radical design. It doesn't have to look anything like, anything like it. That could be another one. You might have different content on different devices. Does anyone do this? Like they have on a mobile, they have radical different content that is on the desktop site just because of priorities. That's another one that we'll go through a bit later on. And then when you're setting up your theme, you can do media queries to do this kind of thing. You can check the device width, or the screen width, I should say, and show your different designs by that way, or by device width. Can anyone tell me the difference between the top two?
My screen I can change that via my browser. I can shrink it down.
Yeah.
A device is going to be, I'm still looking at it through my PC. I'm going to get this.
Yeah. That's a good one. If you're targeting specifically, an iPhone, let's say, you will use device width because you can't change the iPhone to have 1024 pixels wide, no matter what you do. But on the desktop, you can shrink the browser, etc. Does anyone do this? Pixel density of device. Like you say, for Retina screens, show this image, and for non-Retina screens, show this crappy image. Or, I want to target the newest Android, which has a pixel density of 1.8 or something. So at 1.8, if the device has a density of 1.8, which basically means it's a high-Q screen, show this design or this image. That's another way to think about it. Does anyone use by device orientation? Like if you hold the phone this way, it's this design. If you hold it differently, or if the user changes, then change the design, or show something else. And finally, you can also do it by TV or not TV. That is the question. Not to be Shakespearean, but you can now, on all browsers, target the type of device. Like if the person is viewing this on a TV, something like Chromecast or something like that, show this design. And if the person is using a tablet, use this design, or not a TV. Yikes. I wonder why this keeps coming up. Someone has been injecting things into my design or my talk that I am not aware of. Whoops. Yeah, that's a tricky one. All right, so let's go over some basic head-to-head things with Aurora. Traditionally, people have used Zen and Zen grids. Zen grids is just like, what type of grid do I want my design to be? For grids wide, 12 grids wide, things of that nature. If you're used to that, Aurora has a complement which is called singularity, which you can just say, it'll do the math for you so that the gutters are the same width, the same relative width, whether you shrink or expand. It's not based like, the gutter is 10 pixels, but then when you shrink it down, it's still 10 pixels and it's too big. Obviously, the responsive things, if you use the Omega theme or some other themes, it's done through the GUI, click like at 960 do this and at 1024 do this. If you like the GUI, you will be, unfortunately, all the responsiveness is done through code in the command line for Aurora. Can anyone name one or two of these people that write these things, that write these blogs or columns? Anyone?
Morton?
Yes.
Coral.
Yes. All right. Yeah, I just threw this up for fun. The angry themer is Morton DK, who's kind of maybe the head or I don't know, sort of a high-end guy in the Drupal front-end world. You should read his stuff if you're interested. And Angry Donuts is the creator of panels and views and many other things at Earl Miles. So let's get to a tour of Aurora. First, pardon me, I will go through a site that I recently built in Aurora. Which was for a music conference or music festival in Chicago that's coming up, based on the electronic music form of drum and bass, or D&B if you are so concerned. We built this, pardon me, we built this in 4 days, and it's fully responsive in that, let me get this in Chrome where it's a little bit easier to see, or not. All right, so yeah. So here's the desktop view. The main menu is in the circle there, and the blocks of content are the drops. The music is called Liquid or Liquid Drum and Bass, and so we have the Liquid drops, which were part of the design, and the music is called drum and bass, or has a lot of bass. So each block has the Chicago flag as bass notes. So it's a little meta design. And as far as the for the sort of iPad or tablet view, everything shifts over. And then for the phone view, you don't download any of the images. It's just straight down. And though the we completed this in 4 days, and dun, dun, dun. Well, you can't really see anyway, but a reason the Aurora theme worked good for us is we got high ratings on the various services for GT Matrix, which calculates how well built your site is and how fast the downloads are. We got a 94%. For Google user experience and Google mobile experience, we got 99 out of 100 for both of those. And for a few others, we got like A, and your site is, 85% faster than 85% of the web, et cetera, et cetera. And so that was a major reason why we chose to use this. And if anyone is interested, Aurora is a minimalistic theme, so it has basically built for speed only, and it doesn't have like a lot of nice buttons and things out of the box. But for custom, if you're trying to do like custom things, or you have ideas that are different than the traditional Drupal Bartik theme, Aurora is really good for that, because it doesn't say, the header is going to be here, it's going to look like the Drupal Bartik header, and this is going to look exactly like every other Drupal site, etc. Oops. And it's going to be really, really fast. So if you're interested in getting started with Aurora, an interesting thing is it takes a lot of hints from outside the Drupal community to try to put them into the Drupal community, which you may not like or you may like. If you are coming from something like you are building JavaScript apps, Angular apps, Ruby apps maybe, or HTML5 mobile apps, and then you also do Drupal on the side, or you do a combination, you might feel right at home with Aurora, like, right with the glove. But if you're doing Drupal only, you may not like the Aurora theme, because it basically takes, what people do out there, and then you could do it in Drupal the same way. But if you say, I don't like how it's done out there, I like the Drupal way, you should probably not use this. But anyway, through the command line, set up Drush, and then your command line there would be drush dl Aurora. It'll download it, put it in your themes folder for you, etc. Just with that one command. And then you just run npm install yo generator Aurora, which will install the subtheme generator, so you can continue to use the latest version of stock Aurora, like the base theme, like all the time, like every time, and then your subtheme will be built off of that. Just go into your themes directory on the command line, hit yo Aurora, and you already have a subtheme like built up for you. And
what is yo?
Yo. Well, I'll get into that a little bit later, but yo is just a rap term or possibly slang term, and no, just kidding. Yo is for the yeoman, and that is a command line tool that will build things for you. If you were wondering what a command line is, on a Mac OS X it is called terminal, and on other things it is called other things. I'm a Mac fanboy, so I really can't tell you. And then you use grunt, which is a builder as well to watch for changes that you make and reload the website with your new changes automatically without you having to, save and then reload and do all these things. Then, this way, then you type and you see it automatically because it's always watching for changes and rebuilding your files and then loading, etc. And if you have any problems, with these things, you can do gem install based on what you think you might be missing. Like it says, you do not have Compass installed. Just type in gem install Compass, and now you have Compass installed. It's really simple to do, and yes, Jason.
I'll do a BOF on these underlying tools later this afternoon.
Okay, yeah. So if you have,
would like,
yeah.
245 slot, I think.
Yeah. So basically, why you would do these things is you get set up once, and then that way you can make your process faster going forward. Am I missing something in the speech? Can anyone tell what I'm missing? I seem to be missing magic. That's what I'm missing. How could I forget magic? So every Drupal site needs a little bit of magic, right? So another thing that Aurora is built in that, let's say you're using the Zen theme. You download the Zen theme, and you have the whole thing. Everything you need is all right there, and etc. But for Aurora, it kind of partials it out so that you download the base theme, and it's really tightly compact, and it's really built for speed. And then if you need these extra tools, it's not actually bundled with the theme. They're bundled with modules that are helpers. Like Magic is a helper. HTML5 tools is a helper to put HTML5 tags into your theme. Modernizer is to check for older browsers and give them appropriate versions that would work. Blockify makes all the variables that are available in your page or node available in all blocks so that you can put contextual information in the blocks. Borealis does resizing of images. So if you say, on my mobile site, I want a small image, and on my desktop site, I want this big image, it's already built into you with Borealis. And Fences just makes all the markup a lot smaller so that the pages load faster. If you've ever seen the HTML of a Drupal page, it's very, very long, and it has tons of classes and this and that. If you were just saying, I want a fast thing on my phone, you should get Fences because it'll just cut out a lot of that extraneous stuff. So now we'll talk about Yo, which Jason can help you with, so I actually won't talk about it this time. So I guess I'll go through a couple themes and then why you would use them to your needs. If you were going to use Aurora, you would do it probably because you want it minimalistic. You just want a blank slate, so you can say this here and that here, and it's not going to be like conflicted with the Drupal way to go. You just get a blank slate, and then it's really up to your imagination what you can do. It's very extensible with all the different modules. Probably if you were in marketing or if you had custom ideas that you wanted to implement, I would go with Aurora. As you know, as an example, like here's an example of sort of a traditional Drupal or other site. You know, you have the header, and then you have the hamburger menu, and you have sidebar 1, main content. You know, obviously this is a view, this is a node, and everything is going to look pretty stock. Whereas like something like this, everything is kind of, you know, radical. We don't use a hamburger menu. We don't use panels. We don't use anything. It's just kind of radical out of the box kind of thing. Whoops, where am I at? And it we got it done in 4 days, and there's 4 different layouts. One I can't show here because it's for high-res screens, but and then you know, if you're going to use something more like Bootstrap or Foundation, which is by Zurb, they give you prettier buttons out of the box, prettier design out of the box, more plug and play, more for software as a service. You've seen, you know, many sites around that use Bootstrap or Foundation or something like that, where it looks pretty good out of the box. You can't modify it as much as you want, but you know, if you want to just pump out those sites with, you know, a basic, and the design is not really super important because it's more of an application, or it's more of an intranet, or it's, you know, something like that. I prefer Foundation over Bootstrap, but either one is basically the same as the other. So I guess I'll go with some points to sum up. Can anyone tell me what this is from? Anyone? No. It is from the Super Nintendo game Earthbound. There was in the game, you know, this character meets a cult of blue people, and they're always trying them to, you know, pound him in the head. Blue, blue, blue. They're always trying to convert him to their cult, but he kind of resists. So I guess, like, if you were, you know, really committed to the old ways, maybe of Drupal, then, you know, in the future with Drupal 8, or, you know, kind of where Drupal is going, it's more of like, we use community tools for ourselves, or we take in ideas from the outside and we do them. You know, you might see that in the back end with Symfony and Twig and these things. And I think Aurora is a good example of maybe like where Drupal theming is going for Drupal 8, in that they are using a lot of external tools that other companies or other organizations might use, and then we kind of adopt them for ourselves. You know, some of these might be using the command line more, using live reload and localhost more, so that you're not just uploading and downloading and these things, but things happen automatically. You can see that when you use something like Aurora, they have a lot of helpers in the command line, documentation, things where you might not expect it. Like traditionally you would say, I can go to Drupal.org and learn everything I need to know about this module or this, whatever. But here, a lot of the documentation is kind of dispersed, and they have like their own sort of blog wiki that they talk about it. A lot of things are kind of scattered through the code and through the command line that like help you along the way, so that you don't have to just file issues all the time saying, what is wrong with this? I have a problem with this. In the Drupal, on the Drupal site. Give people website pleasure, not Mimi father. And finally, by listening to the speech, a winner is you. Can anyone tell me who this meme is? Anyone? It's the overly attached girlfriend. And then if you are interested in more information about Aurora or doing things like through the command line or processes to make theming faster for you, here's some of them. Snargog is the creator of it. That's his handle on Twitter or GitHub or something. So if you're interested in more, you can talk to him. Some other things that might help you out would be Eddie Asmani, who works for Google. And finally, if anyone is interested in learning more about Drupal, Dries made a rap song which is very informative as well as entertainment, and it's on his website. Dries is the founder of Drupal. Now I guess we have maybe 5-10 minutes. Do you want time for questions? Do you want me to show SAS code or maybe like writing SAS? Or do you want me to talk about the command line? You got 3 options there. Or like show demonstrations, I guess you would say. Anyone?
Is there anything really particular to Drupal or particular to Aurora of like, the way you work with the grid system or anything like that that we use?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Let's see. I might. Do. I can't remember how to increase the size. Sorry. Okay.
Command plus.
Maybe not. Well. one? No. Ah, yes, here we go. All right. So basically, SAS is generally a way to break up the organization of your partials so that it's named in things that you might find or think of first. For example, when you first install it out of the bat, you will find a config and you will find a variables. Oops. That seems to have frozen on me. Okay. I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just go with it without this. This seems real frozen. But basically, you have a variables file already set up with you with default variables, and then you can go ahead and change those. For example, at the top, you have breakpoints already set up for you. The top one says tablet, the next one says iPad, and the bottom one says desktop. Everything is built mobile first, so when you write the CSS, it'll apply to small things, and then you can write if tablet. Then that will only be downloaded and applied to tablets. And then if you write in your style sheet, like if desktop, it will see that you're a desktop. It will only load that CSS for the desktop, and download it and load it for that. And then down at the bottom, it will. You have breakpoint variables, and it'll say, then you can define, have you seen in the blocks region where it says like content, sidebar 1, sidebar 2, maybe like footer 1, 2, 3. You can take those classes or IDs and then put them, just type in where you want them, like for tablets. I'm sorry, this is locked up, but then you can just say for tablets, I want sidebar 1 to be starting on column 1 and go towards column 8. And for laptops, I want it to start at column 8 and go to column 12. Yes?
What's the default column?
12. And it's, I think it's just kind of 9, 3, like content will get 9, sidebars, etc. will get 3. And then when it goes to mobile, it'll just be like 12. Like everything gets the full width of the screen.
Everything has to add 12. So like if you, the grid is set on 12 columns. So on mobile, you say it's going to be 12 because you want to get full space. So like on desktop, like you say, content will be 9, sidebar will be 3, or your design might say like 6 and 6, but it has to add up to 12. So I have a question.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So what's one of the benefits of using SAS versus regular CSS?
Oh, yeah, sure. First of all, you can define variables and then just use them throughout the site. And then, like if you're working on a team, you don't have to say, everything needs to be 33%, and then you change it, you hard code in 33% everywhere, and then somebody comes back and says, we only want 25% or something. Then you have to like find and replace all of them. Or, you know, colors, fonts. Someone might say, we want this shade of green for everything. And then the marketing team comes back and says, we don't like green, we want this other shade of green or something. So instead of hard coding everything into everywhere, you just define your variables in one place, which is already set up for you. And then you just, you use a variable. This is $white, like a PHP variable. You would just, just say white, or then you only have to change it once throughout, throughout the site. Like CSS should be cascading. Another one would be you can write in or download things called mix-ins, which are sort of like functions, so you can calculate things. Like I want this to be this percentage of this, and I want this to be this percentage of this. Maybe at different breakpoints. With CSS, you don't have that option, but with Sass, you can either download mix-ins from GitHub or other places, or write your own, and then you can kind of write sort of functions. I don't do it a lot, but you have the opportunity then to, in your CSS, kind of like pass parameters to those functions, like you would in traditional programming. Another one would be with Sass, you have Compass and things that will provide good defaults for you, which may not be supported in traditional CSS, I guess, anymore. Another one would be cross-browser support. Like you define, like when let's say you're trying to use cool new CSS3 tricks like opacity or like rotation, transformation, things of that nature, animation, and you want those to be supported across all browsers. People haven't got together to, beyond that, so you have to write, for WebKit browser, do this, and for Opera, do this, and for Firefox, do this, and for Internet Explorer, do this, and here's some defaults too. Maybe there's some other new browsers that are coming out too, so do this. And so for the same, opacity effect or animation effect, you have to either copy and paste or write, for all the different browsers. Let's say there's 5 browsers. But with Compass, you can define that in variables. So then when you write the CSS, you just, let's say you define the variable as opacity 1. You want to use, for example, I used that on, this is not working out. Yeah, so for example, all the text on this site is opaque, as well as the drops and everything has a sort of foreground, background element where everything is opaque to the background to give like a liquid feel, like everything is kind of liquid or in a drop. So to do that, I didn't write, this should be this opacity 5 times, and then it should be this opacity 5 times, and then this drop should be this opacity 5 times. I only made one variable that was like, this is the opacity for the whole site. And then I just included that variable in all the different aspects of the site. So it kept my style sheets a lot smaller. It kept my writing quicker, or whatever you want to call it, in that I didn't repeat tasks that I had to do over and over. Yeah, the nested syntax, like instead of writing header should be blue, and then also header A or href links should also be blue, and then header text should be blue. With Sass, you can just write header and then nest it in the different aspects, so you don't have to repeat yourself there. And it, I think it makes smaller files. Not tested, but I think it makes smaller files to download. So that's important if you're, you're thinking about server load, or maybe like real time, like the day of the festival, like a lot of people might be looking at the homepage or something. So you can keep that under control. But yeah, thank you all for coming out, and I hope this helped you. If you are interested, these slides or the links are at andymartha.com/Wabansi, and I'll probably tweet out, etc. as well. You can find me for help on Twitter or other mediums at Biolithic, which was the handle. And take a listen to this rap song by Dries. It's pretty fun. So thank you all.